All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What's What BR. We have a special guest with us today. We have Tressa Fuller. Tressa, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am willing to write a check for the weather we've had this week every day.
Yes, I will co-sign on that check.
I, my wife and I think we said, I don't think our air conditioner's turned on. I don't think anything like even needs turned on. It's just like kind of set at like a 69, 70 degrees in the house.
Perfect.
And I'm not yelling at my kids for leaving the door open. I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it right now. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be a little
so,
warmer, but yes, we'll take what we can get.
exactly. So tell me what's the short background for people who don't know? You are working in the HR side of things and over at Total, but tell me a little about yourself. So I know a little bit, but for all the newbies here.
Sure. Well, I have been working in the HR industry for about 20 years, and in many different capacities, from a recruiter to generalist and director, and now currently as a talent developer. I've worked with the Shaw Group that has later become CB&I, and then Aptum, and local firms such as CSRS and Premium Inspection and Testing, and now again with Total, a petrochemical company that headquarters is in France, as a matter of fact. So it's 100,000 plus employees worldwide.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. That's
pretty large company.
That's a lot to manage. And so, what was the word you said? Was it personal development or development or
talent development?
Talent development. There we go.
Yes, talent developer is my title.
So tell me, what is that? We've talked about, you talked a little bit before, we went from like IQ, EQ, let you kind of run through some of that.
Yes, well, talent development is all part of talent management now, as it's called. Of course, these names change throughout the years, but it's developing employees basically for tomorrow. We want to attract, retain, have engaged, productive employees, and we want them to be ready for and have the skill sets for tomorrow. We are in an ever evolving and changing world, and we want to ensure that those employees have those skill sets that are going to be needed for future goals and objectives for the company.
I think it's awesome Total's seeing this, because what I've noticed in talking with different companies is people, I think, if you're not looking forward enough, you're going to end up in some problems I know some other groups have run into, where technology is progressing faster, than the training of the employee, and the employee's working, doing a job. And so they don't exactly have the ability to go to school, to learn, kind of that new skill or what's the next thing. And technology is moving around. So it's like we have to invest, in the employees. And a lot of people don't do that. They look at it as you got the job, do the job, but it's like, well, what if the job changes? And how do we move these things? How do we prepare that worker? And then how do we make that worker feel, safe to where they can get back home to their family at night? How do we make them feel, that they're valid, that the company cares enough to invest in them? And that sounds kind of right where you are.
It is. I think, and I love the fact that companies are seeing this as valuable to their organization. It's interesting because in a couple of the other organizations that I've been working, and just in the overall HR groups that I'm in with other HR professionals, one of the discussions is that employees tend to expect the company to provide stable employment for them. As Generation Xers, we're always, well, I'm not sure if you're a Generation Xer, but Generation X believe that, maybe a millennial, believe that we work hard, and we stay on track, and we just move up the ladder, and then we'll be at the top. Well, things have changed, times have changed, and what we found is that the millennials, when they came in, they were leapfrogging over the Generation Xers for some of those positions. And then while we were waiting, the Xers were waiting for baby boomers to retire. You notice baby boomers didn't retire, they're still working. So now in the workforce, you have the traditionalists, you have the baby boomers, you have Xers, millennials, and now the Zs. And we're all working together. And I would say a nice harmonious atmosphere, and sometimes not so harmonious, because we all kind of want the same things, right? We want opportunities at the job. We want leadership roles. We want work-life balance. We want a little fun. We want high compensated salary. So we all really want the same things, but maybe the traditionalist baby boomers want some retirement as well included in that.
Well, for the record, I am an Xer, not the millennial. I'm gonna have to just draw the line there, make sure that it's, we're all good.
Are you on the cusp though? There's a cusp where you kind of.
I think the cusp they say is what, like 83, 84. I'm not there. I'm older than that. So I'm in the 40s, right now. So I'm a hard X, capital X. And I'd like to make sure that I stay. Wow. It is amazing, to see, the differences. I was talking with somebody the other day, and we were explaining that, with the workforce changing, I think we did the math. And I keep getting this wrong, and I think I've talked about it on the show before, and I have to look it up so I know it. It's 2 or 3 years, I think, in 2 or 3 years, everyone entering the workforce never knew life without an iPhone. It's just their entire, from when they were born, there was an iPhone, they've, moved, to that. And what they, when you look at that in that generation, you've got people in the same facility, like one, never known anything but an iPhone. Another, I don't want to have anything to do with an iPhone. It's like, I saw, a video the other day that somebody was talking about, they were talking about that this is a telephone, and talking to a younger kid, and they were like, no. Yes. It's a phone. They were like, no, that phone is short for telephone. The guy was like, what are you making words up now? No, phone is short for smartphone. It's like, oh, you completely missed all this. And so it is, you've got all these different generations that all have different values and what's important to them. And then true Louisiana style, we make a gumbo out of all of it and put everybody together. And
true Louisiana style, yes.
The same things that you can't just one size fits all, right? You've got to be able to work with these groups differently on what's important. I talked with someone the other day, and I'm finding it more and more, and I like to hear it, where they were saying, look, the money's not even, the time off's more important to me than the money. And it's amazing how many times I'll see companies that they don't ask. They sit in a room, they make decisions and kind of dole it out. And it's like, well, why aren't you happy about this? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, you tried to appease everyone with one solution. Why didn't you just go ask what they wanted, and get some feedback? So.
Yes, that would be a bit difficult, but you made a great point that everyone has different needs and desires. And so you're right. You can find that maybe perhaps our Zs and millennials or Ys maybe want higher compensation and a greater work-life balance. We were always told too that they also believe in the environment and change, and they love to help. And so they were about charitable giving and community involvement. And maybe not so much with the traditionalists and the Xers, but I just think it's just everyone is unique, and they all have their individual reasons on why they do the things that they do. But that's why development is important, because it's unique to that person. And in talent development, we're assisting employees, not so and gently guiding, because we want that employee to have ownership of their career, have ownership of that development. Because once they're 100% engaged and involved in their own development, then they will be more adept to achieving that goal and objective that they have, opposed to it being forced upon them. So that's the great thing that we do, is try to motivate. We have insight. We use different various testing measures, such as personality assessments, career assessments, to help that employee help them to determine what their goals and objectives, their passions, if that's what they're going for. What are their career aspirations?
That's Yeah, that reminds me of a story. The abbreviated version was there was a guy, he was working in the fields and he picked oranges and, loaded them into the basket and brought them into the warehouse. And he did this for like 40 years. And eventually, someone from the company came and said, hey, you've been doing this, you need to get out of the fields. We're going to put you in, as a manager, and you can manage the ones and you'll be able to sit. And like, so they moved him. And then 2 weeks later, he came and put his resignation in and said, they're like, what is the problem? Now you're not having to lug around, you're getting paid more. You don't have to carry the bins and you don't have to be in the hot sun all day. And he's like, I don't want to manage, these people. I don't want to have to tell them what to do. I want to do this. And I think you see that sometimes in a lot of companies where they just go, hey, that guy's a rock star. He's awesome.
Yes.
We're just going to make him the manager. It's like, whoa,
Yes.
He doesn't want to be the manager. And, you got to find that out. And I think that's important, kind of, as you're saying, is let them kind of own that themselves, to where if they want to be the manager, give them the tools, let them learn, and let them raise their own hand and say, hey, this is what I'd want to do.
Yes, I do find that in many organizations, what they do is promote your highest performing employee, but he's not, or he or she is not necessarily the best people manager. And that's when those, I think we discussed earlier about the IQ, EQ, and AQ, because that's when that EQ and even the AQ really assists a person who's in a leadership role or new to a leadership role, because they're learning to have those soft skills that are needed. They already have those defined technical skills, but now they need those soft skills and the intuition and the coaching that is needed and the feedback that is needed to provide to that employee of theirs or the direct report. Then they need the AQ to help adapt to the current situation, whether it's internally with the company or if it's with the world in and of itself, like what we're in now. AQ is very high and needed. Right now, you have layoffs and unemployment, and you have employees at work being doubled with the money, not money, but with responsibility. And now they're doing the jobs of two people opposed to just their one job. And now there's a bit of frustration. But if you are high in your AQ, your adaptability, you can embrace these moments and look at those moments when you're being asked to take on more responsibility as opportunities. And this is all part of developing your career during the pandemic, is that now you have an opportunity to not just do what you were doing before, but to embrace another role and position that can further add to your business acumen, to your knowledge, your skills, your competencies, your abilities for opportunities. Maybe there may be a role later on down the road, and the manager saw or leadership saw that you took on these responsibilities and you excelled at them. So now they see that as a stepping stone, like moving up in the organization.
And what is it, obviously this is wonderful. Total's got this and invested, in you and a team and, organization wide, that they're seeing this, but maybe, or not maybe, there are plenty of people that just, small businesses don't have, HR, some small, but I'm saying you're, kind of maybe the micro, your 15-man company, they may not have an HR director, they don't have that. What, you can do some of this yourself, right? Is there, what could somebody do, right now, if they're listening and say, hey, I want to, what could they do? But then how do you let people know you've done it? Is it, how do you, if you're in that small business and you're kind of working to develop yourself, personally, and you take this or read the, obviously reading a book, get an Audible subscription, go for a walk, those things help, but it's, can you, is there something, can you print the certificate? Do you just kind of accidentally let it lay on the floor in front of the boss that, hey, I must have dropped that,
It works. It may work if that's the culture of the company, but the best thing about the internet, iPhone, but the best thing about the internet and a lot of our social media platforms now, and technology has opened up a world of learning. Larger organizations have learning management systems. Of course, Total has one. But what an employee can do for themselves, their LinkedIn is a great answer. I would advise our professionals who are interested, young people who are interested as well, to join LinkedIn as a professional social network. They also have training that is available and that you can receive a certification. They even have an access to where you can promote that you did receive a certification or completed a certification online with them. You have Coursera, you have Udemy, you have so many different companies out there now that are offering free courses as well as courses that you can pay for on a monthly basis. You can even obtain your degree as well. So there are so many different avenues that you can achieve certain certifications. And I just believe in being a continuous learner and not necessarily gaining certifications if needed, but Excel. You can learn Excel from YouTube. And what you do is you volunteer at that company. Hey, let me handle this. A special project or a stretch assignment. Volunteer to do something outside of what you're currently doing. If you're a member of a church or an organization or anything, volunteering with your child's school, there are opportunities there where you can showcase your talents and your capabilities, and then you utilize that and place that on your resume. I love the fact that with Total, what we do is in the whole talent development process is that we take all of the skills and acumen that you've developed across every avenue of your life, and we help guide you and mold you into what your career and objectives are by using everything that you've used through over the course of the years.
It's funny you said, I was going to bring up the LinkedIn and I didn't know some of the other ones, but I've encouraged people with the internet now, and it's not always to me, and I'm not in this, but you don't always have to go get that degree. It's not the only thing that has to go on the resume. Like the resume that I, had, that we all kind of grew up with was, here's where I went, to college, here's, the awards I graduated with, here's a couple references, and here's where the places I've worked. But it seems like it's almost like a whole nother section of almost this, I don't know if I'd make the term, micro learning, to where it's all of these, where it's like, and if I'm looking, to grow, myself, it doesn't have to even necessarily be right in that vertical of what I'm doing from a career path. It's like you said, I've got, Excel 101. I've learned this. I've been through, Skillshare. I've got this LinkedIn, and it's just, you list all these things. And a lot of these things, they're not hard. They're not long. It's give up a TV show at night, and get a laptop, and sit in front of it, just give up one show. You might do that 2-hour binge before you go to bed, but give up 30 minutes. Next thing you know, you're going to have an impressive list, where, yeah, it's great that you went to college, 20 years ago, but and if I was somebody and you tell me from an HR perspective, I could put my college from 8 years ago and all the stuff, but if I was doing it, like I said, I'd break it out almost by month of I got this certification or this, class or this course. I did this and just show it almost by every month. And so to me, an employer would look at that, or somebody in HR go, yeah, they went to school, but man, they're continually learning on their own time. To me, as an employer and someone hires somebody, that would stick out to me. They'd be very impressed, to see something like that.
That's good, because you as an employer, that's all that matters. It's interesting because now HR used to be the place where everyone would come and or inquire about positions or apply online. But you also find networking is key also. And so you, in addition to applying online, and I'll just give one note with your resume, because if it's a larger organization sometimes, or even small, it doesn't matter, but to make sure you gear that. Just don't put everything on your resume. Gear your skills, your knowledge, skills, and abilities and experience to what that position you are applying and what that position may require, maybe even in the future. So gear your resume towards that, so that a lot of systems now, the software that is in place in organizations, it kind of select those keywords sometimes, and it will extract those words and then move your resume a little bit higher, especially if they're hundreds of resumes in a pile, right? You want to stand out. But in addition to creating a resume that is applicable to that position, also network, mentor, be a mentor or have a mentor as well. And you want to be strategic in your networking to ensure that that person can get you to where you want to go, not necessarily just network for the sake of networking. Just be more strategic and then just full force, attack that position. If that's something you truly are interested in, then you should do that. Just not a one-step approach, but a multifaceted approach.
Well, I think something that you said there, I guess, really good advice, I would say, is if I take a breakdown, don't make one resume and just send it out. Right. Like people are like, I'm working on my resume, I got it done, and now I'm going to go send it to 100 different companies. It's like, whoa, you need to, when people go fish, it's not just one piece of bait, right? It's right. You've got 1,000 different everybody's looking for something a little different. Find a way to stand out, customize it, find the job that you want. I like somebody said it, and I wish that somebody would have told me, when I was younger, and I'll probably tell my kids. Thought it was a really neat concept where this very well could be from a movie, as far as I know. I just saw it online, where the guy goes in and he says, he goes to the employer and he's like, look, I just want to come work here for you for 90 days for free. I want to learn everything I can. I want to work. Do not pay me a single day. And at the end of 90 days, if you'd rather pay me than lose me, then I'd love to have the job, and that sticks out to me, it's that mindset. So
that's a great mindset. I encourage students in college to make sure that they try and obtain some form of an internship. And that's a great way to do so, a great way to learn, and maybe perhaps a great way to obtain full-time employment as well by volunteering.
I think, like I said, with my kids, I don't want them stuck somewhere, that they don't want to be, or that they feel stuck. And it's easy, with life and bills and responsibilities, where you can't necessarily at some point, like I know plenty of college kids that have got plenty of 90-day stints where they could go without, doing anything. But, for most people in life, that's not an option. So, maybe do it sooner. But even still, just like you said, to use that network where maybe you can't go volunteer, but if you can build a professional network and be able to tell people, this is what I'm looking for, this is who I'm trying to find. That's what we like. I personally like. I love getting referrals. When we say, we're hiring, we go internal first and say, does anybody know anybody? This is who we want, because we've made some bad hires in the past, and it's not because the skills of the person, it's the personality. Like we now, when we're going to hire you, like we bring you in, it's like you're coming to lunch with the team, and we're going to find out if we like you or not, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're a good fit. Yeah. So
it sounds like there's plenty of things people can do these days, and it's awesome to hear that you guys are proactively working that, from especially the size, Total is, and what you guys have done, and hopefully this gives some people some ideas on, that you're not. I've always like, you're never stuck. If you feel like, you're stuck or you're tired, there's always a way, there's always some option, but it's going to take a little bit of work. Don't watch the 1 hour show, work on, if you're looking for, a new job, spend some time doing some personal development, go to some of these classes, get some of those things, spend 2-3 weeks doing that. With that hour a night from not watching the show, then maybe go find the 10 companies you want to work for, and then write 10 different resumes. And get it to those companies, and right. 10 different cover letters, and explain why and what value you could bring. And you can more than likely got a pretty good shot, and if not, you just keep trying. So.
You can remain fluid, agile, and resilient. And yes, just keep at it.
Oh, you didn't say my drinking word of 2020 was pivot, like you got to pivot.
It is, yes. Well, yeah, I do say that a lot, though. I'm trying not to. It's just these key words sometimes that just keep bubbling up. But pivot is one. And that's the adaptability, right? The AQ. You got to be able to pivot. So that's key. It is.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time today to hang out with us and, kind of shed some light. Love to have you come back if you got any ideas, and, sure. Give us an update. We'd love to have you back. And I think this is something, hopefully people, like I said, I don't want people to feel stuck. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing, and there's always a way,
Yes, there is. There is. If there's a will, there's a way, and there are plenty of people out here willing to assist as well. And thank you for having me today. Thank you for having Total. Thank you for this time to share this information. I think is very important, especially during our wonderful times that we're having currently. So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, you have a great day.
You as well. Bye.